Welcome back to Words of Paradise. I'm your host, Leon Idol, and boy is Star Wars The Mandalorian Season 3 not doing well. Isn't that right, Hondo? Yeah, that's right. It's another video. We're about to talk some major trash on Disney Star Wars, and you can't claim I'm not a fan. You know, my little wingman here is named after Hondo Ohnaka. This is Hondo Ohnaka. You don't name your pet after B-list Star Wars character if you're not a fan. So let's get into how Mandalorian Season 3 has an abysmal start compared to Season 1 and 2 when it comes to viewership numbers out the gate. Coming from the direct, The Mandalorian Season 3 suffers weak premiere viewership. The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere suffered a surprisingly weak performance on Disney Plus compared to other Star Wars series. Is it really surprising, though? Is it really surprising? Between Star Wars fatigue, the Gina Carano stuff, the fact that people are moving on, it's also not, really the pandemic time anymore, so people aren't just sitting down and only consuming Disney Plus. I say all three of those are a pretty big factor, and I wouldn't call this surprising in the slightest. Having kickstarted Disney Plus blockbuster efforts as the first streaming series from Marvel or Star Wars universes, The Mandalorian has turned into a cultural phenomenon over recent years. No. The Mandalorian hasn't turned into a cultural phenomenon. Baby Yoda, Grogu, has turned into a cultural phenomenon. A cultural phenomenon of marketing these plushy, cute little toys to children and adults of all ages, really, because they know that sort of thing sells. I mean, why do you think we had Baby Sonic in the Sonic the Hedgehog movie and Pikachu looks the way he does? Cute things sell. The Mandalorian is not the phenomenon, because if Baby Yoda wasn't a part of it, I really don't think folks would be watching the show half as much. With over 2 years past since Season 2's finale, excitement for the show remains as high as ever after its trailer broke Star Wars records. The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere disappoints on Disney Plus. Yeah, I mean, look at that. Here's the photo they even use on the direct. Tell me this ain't marketing at its finest. I mean, yeah, I'll be the first to admit, dude's cute. Like, I'm not exactly the biggest fan of the show at this point. I think that the end of Season 2 would have been much better had he and Grogu stayed separated. We could have seen some Mandalorian without Grogu, see how that affects his character arc. But no, they had to do a reset in Book of Abysmal Fett. So yeah, here we are, we got him again. And they have the cute character design down perfect. Big exaggerated features, big eyes, big ears, little tiny hands. He's like perfect stuffed animal size. This is down to a science. You can't say Disney ain't good at marketing. According to The Wrap, which shared data collected by Samba TV, The Mandalorian Season 3 premiere had relatively weak performance in comparison to some other Star Wars Disney Plus series. Although its viewership exceeded the recent Andor by close to 50%, well, I mean, yeah, nobody saw Andor. That's hardly a fair comparison. It still trailed behind Obi-Wan Kenobi and the Book of Boba Fett premieres by 28% and 2% respectively, while also falling short of Marvel Studios' Loki premiere by 35%. Yeah, it fell short of Loki, it fell short of Obi-Wan, it fell short of Boba Fett. All shows that are just not good. They're just mindless content for you to put popcorn into your gullets and then watch and talk about at the office. I'm sorry, at the time those came out, no one was going into the office. Point is, it's just a constant, ever-flowing stream of content that means absolutely nothing, where there is no magic. As shared by Samba TV, the first episode of Ewan McGregor's Jedi spin-off was viewed by 2.14 million US households in the first 4 days. Meanwhile, the debuts of The Mandalorian Season 2 and The Book of Boba Fett were watched by 2.08 million and 1.5 million households respectively. 1.5 million attempted to tune in to The Book of Boba Fett, and then I wonder how much the viewership fell off after that. In fact, I bet you're only going to see those peak viewership numbers, if they're ever released, with the Mandalorian episodes that were squeezed in there because they were just desperate to get folks to try and watch the Boba Fett show by throwing in more Mandalorian stuff to get you hyped for a Season 2 that was still, 2 years away at the time of that coming out or whatnot. People just were not interested in this Boba Fett show after 1 or 2 episodes when they realized this isn't even a Boba Fett show. So yeah, I'd be very interested to see what the actual numbers were, not just the initial numbers, but I doubt we will ever get those. This data would seem to indicate Season 3 Episode 1 was viewed by just under 1.5 million households in the US. The disappointment comes after the original trailer for Season 3 overtook Obi-Wan Kenobi to become easily the highest viewed trailer for a Disney Plus series in the galaxy far, far away. And I got a sneaking suspicion, just a little inkling of an idea, those numbers probably a bit propped up by Disney. They already pump out content on assembly lines. It wouldn't surprise me they got some underpaid, underprivileged Chinese kids sitting in warehouses full of computers not half as nice as the devices they're making for us, just sitting there watching the YouTube videos over and over, paying them pennies on the dollar to crank those numbers up. I'm not saying that's exactly what's happening. All I'm saying is I wouldn't put it past the House of Moushewitz to do something like that. So I wouldn't exactly say this easily the highest viewed trailer for a Disney Plus series. I don't know how much of that's organic, because as we've seen more and more as of late, especially with the Peter Pan remake stuff, Disney is going out of their way to hide negative press, turning off comments, the whole nine. So it's not so far-fetched to believe that they got Chinese viewing bot farms there that they can pay little chingling 2 cents an hour to watch Mando videos over and over, because hey, at least he's not making Nikes in some grimy sweatshop. He can watch videos all day for that couple cents, maybe afford a can of corn. That's something, I guess. Samba TV collects its viewership data from a panel of over 3 million households across 25 million TVs. The Mandalorian Season 3's low viewership explained. At the time of The Mandalorian Season 2, there was no other live-action Star Wars series, with the next not coming until Book of Boba Fett around a year later. Since then, Disney Plus released 3 more live-action shows, including Boba Fett, Obi-Wan Kenobi, and most recently Andor, which, don't forget, they had to temporarily, license off to other outlets, like, if I remember right, Peacock, Hulu, because no one was watching it on Disney Plus. No one watched it in general, which is sad. I'm not saying Andor's bad. In fact, from what I've heard, it's one of the only good bits of Disney Star Wars content, but at the end of the day, no one was watching it. Probably because they saw Obi-Wan Kenobi and decided to jump Starship. With The Mandalorian Season 3 failing to live up to past heights, one has to wonder whether some of the Star Wars fatigue, if that's even real, oh, trust me, it's real, but I wouldn't say it's Star Wars fatigue. I would say that it's Disney Star Wars fatigue. I'm actually genuinely curious if it's going to affect the Jedi Fallen Order game, but frankly, I don't think so. I mean, gamers gonna be gamers. They don't really care about Star Wars the IP so much as they care about a fun game, so we're probably not gonna see it affect that, but, anything's possible. Is beginning to settle in. That might well be one of the factors leading to this decline going to the blockbuster series' third go-round, but there's undoubtedly many others. Oh, I wonder if they'll even bring up our girl Gina Carano. For one, The Mandalorian was last airing back in December 2020. Disney Plus didn't have the excess of movie quality content it now does. The sophomore season came just weeks ahead of Marvel Studios' first dip into the streaming with WandaVision, which has since been followed by 6 more live-action MCU series. 0 of them good, by the way. The Mandalorian also doesn't have the benefit of starring a familiar character like Boba Fett or Obi-Wan Kenobi. To be fair, that didn't exactly matter when the show first started. The first 2 seasons didn't star familiar characters, and it did just fine. So I don't know if that's a fair criticism. If anything, that helped the show, because there wasn't an original legacy character for Disney to denigrate and destroy in front of our very eyes. Although Pedro Pascal's Din Djarin has turned into something of an icon in his own right over the recent years, that wouldn't explain why the series premiere dipped compared to Season 2. Once again, the very public firing of Gina Carano. I'm going to keep going on about that. It's funny. I told myself that I wasn't going to watch Season 3 because of the Gina Carano stuff. I told myself this when she got fired for those absolutely absurd reasons. And then as time went on, I won't lie, I actually kind of completely forgot, because I forgot about this show, forgot about Disney Star Wars making Mandalorian Season 3, because I just had other things to attend to, things that were far more important, such as raising my bird-brained friend here and, consuming content that was actually worth my time. And then when Season 3 rolled back around, not only was I just going to stick to my guns about not watching it because of Gina Carano, but I also didn't care. I considered watching it just so I could do a review at the end of it, for the channel and whatnot, but honestly, I don't even care enough to do that. So the Gina Carano stuff, that's part of it as well, but really, I just don't want to subject myself to a season of crap from an absolute amazing franchise that I used to and still do love with all my heart, but that for me died after the Clone Wars. The huge viewership that came with the debut trailer clearly points towards significant interest in the show, possibly even beyond that of Obi-Wan Kenobi. So chances are this was just a rough start, and the audience numbers will grow across the coming episodes as the surprises unfold and excitement increases. The first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian Season 3 are streaming now, exclusively on Disney+. And you know what? It's entirely possible. I'm not going to say that won't happen. As excitement grows, maybe it could get better numbers. For that to happen, excitement would have to grow. And frankly, you're not really seeing anyone talk about this aside from corporate shills on Twitter and whatnot, the people that you would expect to be talking about this, the same talking heads as always. But no average normal folk are really talking about it, which is what brings us to the next article from CBR, Comic Book Resources, one of the biggest shills in the game. Even they're saying Mandalorian Season 3 premiere numbers show signs of Star Wars fatigue, when even Comic Book Resources, the shills themselves, are starting to back off. They've criticized this, they criticized the upcoming Marvels film, stating that the Marvels will flop. You're actually having CBR turn against you, Disney. What is that saying about your future? At this point, it's not even misogynists like you, Leon, on the internet that are turning against you. It's the people you used to send these goodie bags to. What happened? Did you finally run out of money after promoting all this bogus political stuff you've been promoting, so you couldn't send the goodie bags to CBR anymore, so now they're actually able to tell the truth? I think that's probably a possibility. This just goes to show that fans, and more importantly even paid shills, will only take the denigration of characters and an IP for so long. Baby Yoda, the cuteness factor of that marketing toy, can only sustain a series and a franchise for so long, and there are individuals that have not forgotten what you did to an actual strong female role model, Gina Carano, in favor of your absolute lip service about what strong females truly are. But you know what? I think this is exactly what you guys deserve. I hope this fails even further. Pedro Pascal not even that great an actor, and you know what? He's still got work on Last of Us Season 2 until they kill him off like they did in the games. Spoiler alert. Yeah, that's right. I went there, played the video games. You'll get a better experience, or so I've heard. I haven't even played the games. But that's just my opinion. Let me know yours in the comments below, or you can let me know on Twitter, where you can find me at BoltTheWord. I do nerdy news content every single day, and man, I would love the subscription, so please do hit that button, click the bell, the whole nine. We're getting up over the 600 subscriber mark, which is just incredible. Thank you so much. And hey, it's not always about Star Wars. It's about comics, Disney, Magic the Gathering, Dungeons and Dragons, you name it. It's all here in the Nerdosphere, and this has been Words of Paradise.